Welcome back to Inspirimint, everybody. We have a very, very special guest today. Somebody that I've been inspired by for a long time. Somebody I've looked up to since I first got back into customizing. And also somebody I've had a ton of questions about. Now, what's interesting to me is this person, which is right fucking here. Her name is Cestlavic. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I had this big intro planned, but it's Cestlavic. She has started so many different trends and so many different like foundational things in the community. So for example, like Swish Sunday is undoubtedly, and I've said this many times, the reason that I started my Sat AR days. Like absolutely. The idea of doing something weekly that incorporates the community the way that you have, Vic, is absolutely amazing to me. And instantly, like I didn't even try really to morph it too much to my own, other than the medium. I was like, she's done this flawlessly. Like I need to try something like this. So that's one thing, right? On top of that, you have worked with so many awesome brands, and you've stayed so true to yourself with working with different paint brands like Tarago and Angelus, and working with Microsoft and working with eBay, right? That the way that you've held yourself throughout the last couple of years, and the way that you've been involved in the community, the information that you've given out, the transparency that you've had with everybody has been amazing to me. So I am beyond excited for this episode and to hear your thoughts on many different things throughout this. So thank you for joining us.
Honestly, it's such an honor to be on here. Thank you, Zach. I didn't want to interrupt you as you were gassing me up, you know. I'm feeling that right now, need that on a Thursday morning. And yeah, again, I've been waiting for this podcast for so long. I'm such a huge fan of you guys, all of you. And you all have such unique styles and contribute so much to the community that, again, the pleasure is all mine. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. So I also realizing I'm absolute doggy at doing intros on this, because it's Bald Boy. I am joined by my two co-hosts.
Howdy guys, Dillon from DeJesus Custom Footwear.
I'm sure the streets called me Color Be Fresh.
Yeah, baby. So
those are the alter egos we were talking about. You know?
Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to start this off in somewhat of a direction at the very least. And there's no way it's going to stick on this. But so one of the things that like I said, have always valued about you, Vic, and also Anne, especially listening to your guys' podcast, Best Foot Forward, which will be linked down below 100%, is your guys' transparency with things. And I'll be honest, whenever I first got to know you, and when I say know you, I mean like learned about your page and like would follow Swish Sundays and everything, your brand to me at first was so like personal. It was like, I always felt like I really knew you, even though I never even said a word to you. And over time, like I've seen, because I've followed so closely, I've seen that change at different points where, you know, you'll take a step back and like, you know, not be involved on social medias and do less lives. And now I've come to learn after listening to the podcast you guys do, all the reasons for that. And like the significant realities you've had in life, right, that have forced you to go different directions at different times. So my question to you is, what are some of those significant realities that you've faced, and why are you on the direction that you are currently with your business?
So I love what you said, because I feel like you get me through my posts. You know, a lot of people will just scroll through Instagram and you're only looking at pictures, you're only looking at final products and things like that. But my page and also, you know, the podcast itself is really about just documenting and sharing this journey of how we can create this career for ourselves in art that's sustainable, that, you know, is going to support us financially through life, and all of the obstacles that you face as you're starting out. So like from when I first started to, you know, landing jobs, maybe hiccups in all of this, right? And I've always had this struggle of like, can I make this happen? Can I be an artist and like not be a disappointment to my Asian parents, pay my rent living in an expensive city. And then also creating stuff that actually makes me happy so that I can see myself doing this for another 5-10 years. That's the dream. That's the goal. And obviously we're not quite there yet, but we really love sharing that process with people. I hope that answered your question. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I also we were talking last week about, providing different revenue streams for things. And I would love to hear where you found success and failures in that as well, because I know Sean and I specifically have talked many times about, different directions and different products and things to introduce. Because all of us have so much pride in our work and put so much dedication and time into things that it's not really as simple as I want to make a t-shirt. Mm-hmm. It's when you decide to make something or introduce something into your business, it's it's everything, you're putting weeks and months and all of your effort and all your time. And you're not making any money while that's happening. So that's what's interesting to me. And I would love to hear what things you've put in place and why you've done them. And also from Dillon and Sean, why you guys have gone, Dillon, you've gone into stencils, for example. Sean, we've talked about doing statues and possibly NFTs. Vic, you've gone into NFTs. So I'd love to start that discussion.
Okay, I'd love to hear your sides as well, but let me start by saying this whole thing started when I was selling on Etsy. It was my side hustle. I used to do this while I was still in school in this dark basement apartment, just hovered over my desk like some monster over Christmas, painting Disney shoes, And what I realized is shoe after shoe, it just got more and more complex. The time that I put into it increased, but the amount that I was charging for didn't drastically increase proportionally enough, if you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Right? You would put in 50, 60 hours of work and you'd be charging the same amount. And when you divide that by however much per hour you're making, you're basically making under minimum wage, right? And that's kind of the standard that the community has really set for itself. And so when I decided to do this full time, I had already graduated. I have my work experience. I'm a full-grown adult that needs to pay for a living and everything. So I came to this realization that you've got responsibility. I moved countries, so it's not like I can live in my parents' basement anymore. Mm-hmm. And you realize that the amount of time that you spend working needs to correlate well with a better salary. And I think the way that I found that was most successful for me was being able to work with companies that are able to pay you for your time, compensate you accordingly. And so really the focus in the last 2 years has been, how do I nurture these relationships? How do I, set up collaborations, build my network of people that are going to give me jobs that will sustain me for months at a time? Because with this, it's yes, how many pairs of shoes can you realistically make in the span of a year?
Only so many.
Yeah, there's only so many. You only have 2 hands. Yeah. And that means that the value of each item that you're producing has to increase, right? If I want this to be my career, I have to charge a certain amount. Let's say I only make, 50 pairs of shoes, probably less, way less now. But let's say I make 50 pairs of shoes a year, mm-hmm. right? I can't be charging what I was charging 10 years ago, yep. And still I might as well be working at McDonald's at that point. Yep. So it was really how do I pivot? How do I do things that other people aren't doing maybe? Mm-hmm. And, it's the same thing with stencils. Hey, we see this demand in the community. People want stencils. So, like Dillon's doing, I'm going to create that and fill that void. And then I'll have a market, supply and demand, right? Yeah. That's sort of how I see it.
Now, Vic, let me ask you, following up on some of that, about balance, which is something that every artist has to work through. When you have, I'm sure, different projects and different deadlines that you have to hit, And when you're trying to create this living for yourself, and being that commissions or sort of, the shoes itself, the artwork itself is the main thing that's going to get you paid. How do you decide? Because I feel it sometimes, let me just work through everything that I currently have open, try to gather as much of this income that you could potentially see versus setting aside time for you to do something like Swish Sundays or, just create content around stuff that you want to share on all of these different platforms and stuff. So how do you sort of balance, let me just knock out everything that could potentially get me paid versus let me do stuff that's not going to get me paid in this exact moment, but it'll still help me build my brand and my name in the long run?
Yeah. I feel like your question is like seeing right through me, because now I am terrible at balancing and prioritizing these things, because the things that don't make money are the most exciting to me. The things that make
Amen.
commission.
Amen.
Yeah.
When I'm like, I've been doing this for a really long time, and this is no shade to any clients of mine in the past, but like when people tell you to do something, you're like, but I don't want to do it that way. I don't want to work on this project. I don't want to paint what you want me to paint. And so I feel like the things that get you paid oftentimes are the least fun. And the reason why I feel exposed is because I have this urge to prioritize me creating something that doesn't already exist in the community, right? Like everybody is doing, if I got an order, typically it'd be like, oh, paint this cartoon, paint this anime on a shoe. It's been done, and the amount that I'm getting paid and the timeline that it takes to design something new is not within the budget. So it's really something that you just have to knock out, get paid for, move on. And so for me, it's been a struggle to say no to a lot of projects, say no to commissions that I don't feel a connection to, or doesn't feel like it's in line with where I want my business to go. And so recently I've had to turn down projects, and I've had to say, no, I need time to come up with something that's truly mine, build my brand. And that's the sacrifice that I've had to take. And it's terrible, feels terrible to turn down money. It's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no is a super powerful word. You know what I mean? Because you can't take on everything, and not everybody's ideas that they want from you are going to be good or fall in line with what you want to be doing, like you mentioned.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm still feeling all sorts of FOMO, feeling all sorts of like, I shouldn't have taken that project, but that led to something else. It's not like I'm there. I'm just in the process of finding myself through all of this.
So, needing to say no to people, Vic, what are your thoughts? I'm sure it's something you've thought about. How do you feel about potentially hiring someone to work, alongside you, and then you can say yeah to more stuff and still get paid for stuff if they're able to do, a certain percentage of the work for you or help you along the way, or maybe knock out some of even the content for you, what's your thoughts been on that?
So that is the goal. That is the dream. And I've been talking about this for so long. Like, I need an editor. It would be really helpful for somebody to help me with social media, managing DMs, uploads, all of that stuff. And I think for me, I've been so stubborn in learning how to edit to begin with, because I'm like, I need to know how it works.
Yep.
In order for me to tell somebody exactly what I want, I'm going to go through it, and I'm going to figure out how it all works. And then I'm going to hire someone. And if I pay you for it, then I understand where that value is, like where that money is going. So I spent the last 2 years learning editing software for videos, doing my own thing. And I think it's really just amping up the business to the point where I can afford to pay someone, because I'm so I've been an intern or a volunteer so much in my life, and been taken advantage of so much, that I truly feel that I want to pay somebody what they deserve in order to do the job that they deserve. But I think once that happens, everything is going to start coming together a lot quicker, for sure.
What about another artist on the team?
I think that would be amazing. And it's so hard to find, like the fact that I found Anne, who also works on sneakers, and we share a studio space is like, just it's a miracle that I even found her in SF. So, you know, whoever's listening out there, you're in SF, hit me up. Use someone else.
There you go.
For sure. And like, it's really about, I think with sneaker artists, it's like, we're really excited about knowing more people that do what we do. It's like, yes, the community is huge, but like, you do sneakers too, come hang out, you know, like let's build this community. And I would love that.
Yeah, honestly, so I kind of want to back up for a second too to something else that you said, Vic, because you're talking about the the urge and like the passion to create things that don't currently exist. You know, being able to say and know that regardless of the recognition that you get on it, regardless of the time it took or the, you know, the consequences of you taking on that project, you can say forever and know in your mind that you brought something into the world that never has been seen before. That is the epitome of my struggle every single day.
I see your work and I respect it so much.
Thank you.
Because I'm like, you understand and you will not back down from that belief. Like, you know, you're truly somebody who is not going to just go with the trends and do what's hype just so that you can get the likes. And I'm sure, I feel like I can see the pain in your eyes, because it's like, if you do original work, you don't necessarily get the recognition for it right away. Right. And I think, you know, this kind of ties into what Dillon was saying before too, with saying no and stuff. This is a long-term plan. It's not something that, you know, just provides instant rewards. So if you're looking, you know, far into the future, this is actually a better thing for you to do. And for me, the pivoting point was working with companies, because when you work with companies, you can't do anything copyrighted. Even just a color scheme, the lawyers will be like, nope, can't do that. It's too close. It's too, like, it resembles this too much. And so that's what kind of put the idea into my head that, no, I got to come up with something original so that I don't get into legal trouble for it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's going to pay off, because like your style is so unique that you're the only, like, everybody's going to recognize that you were the first one to do it. And you're the one that does it the best.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. It definitely, yeah, dude, get me emotional. Jesus. All right. So we're going to move on. So Sean, I did want to say too, so like the reason why I brought this up as well is because I think it's really fascinating. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, Vic, but so like, in looking at your work and following you, I feel like that's one of the things that I noticed where, you know, and I assumed, this is where, please correct me if it's not true, but I assume that's part of the reason why you weaned off of Swish Sundays as well, is because my guess would be is that I started seeing a lot more stuff that was like the balloon up tempos and like the pearls, or, you know, like the little stuff like that. And I was like, that to me is building a style. Like that to me is having like a whimsical like approach to a shoe that is very approachable. It's so beautiful. It's so interesting. And to me, I took that as, you know, your like foray into doing like purely original work, you know, that is recognizable. And I know Sean, like I always talk to Sean about this, and Sean, I'd love your take on this too, and like your struggles and how you feel with Kilo, because to me, Kilo is an absolute fucking gold mine. Like you in your mind is just, it just blows me away, bro. Like your drawing skills, your ability to come up with these characters that every single one of them just hits. It just fucking hits, man. And like the world that can come with it, and like the comic books, and we talked a million times about this, but this is more for Vicky and the podcast and everybody. I'm like, dude, with the comic books and the possibility to do figurines and like, and going into NFTs, there's literally a world that like you have the mind for and like have set up perfectly by starting with anime and transitioning with like using that style that I don't know. I just think it's so fascinating, like the two approaches that I see y'all taking towards like, you know, the direction of your businesses, I guess. So like, I guess my question is like Sean specifically, you know, how are you feeling now with Kilo now that it's been a while since you started it, and what's the direction you want to go in with that, brother?
Oh, first off, thank you, kind sir.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think my biggest struggle right now is navigating how I want to tell the story, if that makes sense. Like a lot of people ask for the whole manga and comic book thing, but being a manga artist in itself is already a full-time plus job. Like it's not something you can do on the side. Like if you can watch YouTube videos of manga artists and how much they have to draw and come up with concepts and everything every day. And so in that regard, as much as I think it's dope, I don't think I would be able to do it. I just don't have the time to. And so then the next option is like YouTube. And I think YouTube would be kind of dope. Like while I'm making the shoe, I can kind of give more of the story. But then part of me also wants like an animation. So now it's like finding ways that I can get parts animated and then maybe somebody doing like voiceover work to explain maybe the characters and stuff like that. So I think that's the direction I want to go, is when I'm telling the story while I'm making the shoe, having maybe like scenes of the character possibly being like animated or like a short or something like that to tell the overall story of the shoe. I don't know, man. There's a whole lot. It's like one of those things to where it's like so many different options, just kind of gets overwhelming.
Yep.
It's like a menu with too many. It's like the Cheesecake Factory, right? You go to Cheesecake Factory, look at the menu, you just don't know what to pick because you got so many options, bro. That's how I feel. So I don't know. I don't know. I have ideas. It's just how can I do it? I need Mr. Beast money, bro.
Yeah,
That's why
whole
you gotta get
production
into
company.
NFTs, you know? But like I feel like Sean, Zach, you're not the only one gassing him up in his DMs because I literally tell him this
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay,
daily.
good. Okay, good.
Daily. But I think it goes back to like Dillon's point. It's like you get to a point where you need more help and you need to hire people that just do that, because we're forgetting as like a single, like as a person who runs their own business or starts their own business, you want to do everything, and you look at these productions and you think that it's like a one-man job, one woman job. It's not, you know, it's like a whole team thing. Even for things that look very simple and small, it takes a lot of people power in order to accomplish that. So I just feel like, yeah, you need to get to a point where you can just hire somebody and like expand on this universe, because you know Marvel's gonna be quivering.
So quick roundtable discussion. Why does everybody think in our industry nearly 98% of people run their business as a one-man team? Why is it so hard to hire in this industry? Does it just flat out come down to we're not paid enough? We don't think we're paid enough to hire someone? Or what are some other hurdles you guys think there are?
I think it is the money aspect of it, because I mean, let's be honest, like 90% of the community undersell their work. Like there's a lot of customizers that still sell their stuff for $300, $400. You know, that's nowhere near enough money to survive on, let alone, you know, hire somebody on a team. For me, I think the art side of it, I couldn't hire anybody because it's something about it for me that I get enjoyment out of doing everything on the shoe. With regardless if it's prepping or not, it's just like it's a part that I don't know, I just enjoy. For me, the hiring would be like the editing or somebody to do animation and stuff like that. But I do think income is probably the major role when it comes to our community, why, you know, people don't outsource.
You know, I have a different opinion. I believe that this is myself included. So I'll speak for myself and also speak probably for a lot of other people, in that I think most people don't take it seriously enough.
Mm.
Where, my dad has a motorcycle business. My dad at no point in getting into that business thought to himself, maybe I can do this by myself. It was not, at no point did he say, maybe I can make motorcycles out of my garage. At no point did he, say, I can find the supplies on my own and get them. At no point did he say, I can do everything and have a fully successful working business. And that's what I do. Like, I think of each medium as a new object to conquer, and as something I need to add to my arsenal for the time that it comes that I need to hire somebody. Like what Vic was saying, like, I don't want to get to the point where I want a 3D animation and I know in my mind what that needs to look like, but I can't communicate that to somebody, and I can't understand what goes into that because I don't know how to fucking do it. Right?
You have to be able to say why or why not something is good or not how you want it. You can't just say, I don't like it. Otherwise, they can come back with the same thing if you can't tell them how to improve upon it.
Yes, exactly. And I think that it will come to the point where I need to say, like, now it's time to start taking this seriously like a business. Like I was telling myself I was doing this to acquire the skills. Now I have the skills, or at least I'm close enough I can say I can give it a go. Let's fucking do this. And I don't think that most people will ever get to that point. I think most people will say, I can sit here in my room and build this up to the point where I'm making 50, 60K a year. And I think it's probably for most people a bad mindset to have.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I think there are people that do just like they like the satisfaction of doing everything themselves. Right. Like, that's why I think for me, I would never get help with my artwork, because if I show somebody something or a shoe and I don't feel like I made it completely, then to me, it's not mine, if that makes sense. Like, I like the feeling of, hey, so you painted this? Yep. You made this too? Yep. You also wrote the story? Yep. Like, it's 100% me. I did that.
It's that ego.
And I don't know. It's like that feeling of, I don't know. It's like I don't know. It's mine. Like, no one can take credit for something I created because I put all of me into it. I don't know.
Like, what do you think of, say like a movie production, right? There's the director, there's the producer. There are the key players that kind of contributed the most to that production. But then there's also, look at the credits. It's just this long line of people that just do simple jobs. But it takes a whole village in order to get it done, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to certain things like that, like if I got to the point to where I had a bigger YouTube channel, then I would want to get more people. I think I'm strictly talking more so of like the art side of things. Like when I create a shoe, or if I make like a display box or a display piece, I like saying I created all of that with my own two hands. Like everything else I'm cool with, like the production, editing, like I have no problem with people helping me in that regard. Maybe even like writing the story. Like if there's somebody that can help me write a story, come up with, like a story writing is again, is a job in itself. You got to have plots, you got to have plot twists, it has to make sense. So in that regard, but when I create, I want my hands to be the only thing to touch my projects. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird.
So Sean, you said a big if there. If I had a bigger YouTube channel, what if the big if could be saving that 5 hours of prepping the shoes, dyeing the soles, and painting the gray base layers, or having someone put out a higher volume of quantity of content that stretches across all of these various platforms and stuff?
So having somebody do the prep work?
Base layers, you know what I mean? Get you up to your solid gray that you do on nearly every shoe, dye them soles, you know what I mean? Film more of that process. What if sheer volume is the reason that you don't have a bigger YouTube channel, as you said with the if, Do you think that could be?
Huh?
I said, do you think that could be?
No. What do you mean? I mean, you think, okay, so the volume of my workload is why I don't have a bigger YouTube channel? Is that the question?
I'm not saying I believe that. I'm asking you if you think that could be a factor.
Oh, I don't. I just think it's just one of those things to where, well, YouTube is just like, you just gotta, somebody has to see your stuff. I haven't figured out the YouTube algorithm. I think the volume thing, it could help, but then when I think about volume, to me, it's not about quantity, it's about my quality. I felt like when I was trying to do too many pairs of shoes too fast, that my quality would it would dip a little bit, and I don't like
Sure.
that.
Yeah.
And so for me, I prefer to do the one shoe at a time so I can give that one shoe all of my focus. Like I can't, like, I know people that do multiple shoes at once, like they'll have one shoe put to the side, start another one. I can't do that.
That's me.
Like I have to finish a project before I start another one. And that's why it's hard for me to stop working once I stop, or even like this live. Like I can't start working if I know I have something to do. It's because once I get sucked into it, I'm not getting up until I get it right. It's just weird. So I have to do the quantity isn't as important to me as the quality.
So what if
So
you had
maybe it's
somebody
like a
to help
gift
you
and a
with
curse,
quality?
Huh?
What if you had somebody to help you with quality and
I
was
can't,
able?
man, because
What
it's
if
not me.
what if they were? I'm not saying on the artwork on the shoes,
Sean's
but
about to explode.
But I'm saying,
Sean's eyes are welling up right now.
what if somebody was a better video editor than you?
Oh, well, then yeah, video. Like when it comes to video editing and anything outside of painting, I'm completely fine with it.
Yeah.
Like if I like your setup back when you had Jason, bro, I'm all for a player. Come record me, edit, tell me when to speak. Tell me when to
Tell me when to speak.
Send me your address. I'll be there.
Yeah.
I just need a career change, you know?
Oh boy.
Oh, Vic. Yeah, it's just like I'm talking about strictly art. You know, like everything else, I'm cool with having help on.
Yeah. I don't think I was really referring too much. Somebody help. I definitely wasn't saying somebody could help you improve the quality of your artwork. I'm just wondering if maybe there's a sheer number you have to complete 150. Yeah, that's 150 shoes in a year. What if you got that up to 200? You know what I mean? What if you went up 30%?
I mean,
you know?
but see, I thought about that too. Like, I think that's also part of the no, because I've gotten hit for like maybe like NFT projects. Hey, man, we need you to do 75 shoes. And then I sit there and I just think about it. And I'm like, okay, money may be good, but then I think about it and I'm just like, bro, do
Sitting
you
there
really
and
want to
painting that
dedicate
many?
the next 3 months to 75 pairs of shoes?
Yeah.
And if I get that incy bit of anxiety and I'm just like, nah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I hear you, man.
Wait, so Vic, what are your thoughts on the original part?
So I'm curious about Dillon, because I feel like Dillon has like you're partial to, you know, having help, because I feel like you've seen the light of day, like, you know, that it's helpful to your business, and like you being able to do volume, because a lot of us can't do volume because, like Sean, we're like so close to the project that every piece of it has to be done by my hands. So like what is your take on that? Have you benefited from having people help you? Do you get people to like paint the bases on your shoes, and what's that for you?
Yeah, I don't feel as much tie as it sounds like Sean does to like, I need to be the only person that touches these shoes. I believe that, you know, quite literally, I only have so many hours in the day. I only have so many hours in the year. And there's, at the end of the day, there's only going to be, you know, so many things that you can do with the business. So if that's the last 50% of the shoe, but somebody could do the first 50%, the prepping, the taping, the base layers, all of that, I'm not calling that the first 50%. But if that's done, then there's all this other stuff that I could be doing. You know what I mean? And I just think I may not be the best at a lot of these other parts of the business, whether it's the back end stuff of setting up a website and, you know, keeping that going and stuff like that. And then especially when it comes to content and video, I didn't get into this business of loving custom shoes because I wanted to be a video editor. So if I could have somebody help with that, I just think that, you know, I love how Zack said his dad has this motorcycle business, and not at any point did he think I'm just going to do it all myself, And if you're trying to the place that I'm hopefully striving to get to with the business, it can't all be done by me because there's only 24 hours in a day, and I'm trying to do things that require a lot more man hours than 24 hours in a day, So
Yeah, I think I agree with like each and every one of you in like little bits. I feel like that it's a mental blocker for people, because when you start a sneaker customizing business, you kind of have this idea that it's all going to be done by you. It's online. It's not the traditional business where you have to open a storefront, where you have to get inventory, where you have to
Mhm.
hire people. And I feel like if you
pay to
just
market.
yeah, right. And like, right, pay to market. Cause now, you're thinking, oh, Instagram's charging me this much to advertise and like have my work be seen.
Yep.
That actually is traditional marketing money. That's like billboard money. That's commercial money.
Flyers. Yeah.
Right. That we're not taking into account. So I feel like if you treat your business less as, just like a pursuit of art and more of how do I run my business and make it more successful, I definitely think, these are things that we can try to have people do things that maybe are like less complex. And I think that you still have to put the hours in to get to that point. Like nobody's just going to buy into your brand, Dillon, if you didn't spend so much time working on it, building your craft, becoming an expert in what you do. Right. I think that part is really important in establishing that. But once you have that, and I mean, like you all do, like Sean, you definitely do too. And once you've established your brand, I feel like then even if not everything is touched by you, people are still going to appreciate it, and it's still going to be your artwork.
Yeah, I I would love to comment on that too. I think that's a fucking phenomenal point, because like I have very much so the same mindset ever since I found out that like a lot of my favorite artists when I was younger, like Kaz and Takashi Murakami and Daniel Arsham and all these people that are like in the kind of custom shoe,
Stratosphere.
zeitgeist, yeah, just have massive teams, like literally, I mean, just huge teams, because the level, if you dream big, the level of what you can achieve goes so far beyond what, like you said, Dylan, you're able to accomplish in a day-to-day basis. But I'm also of the same mindset as Sean, very much so, where I really struggle, not only to let people like in on the art part because of my pride and like because I want control over things, but to a deeper level, admittedly, like I think it's a confidence thing too, where if I bring somebody in, if I admit to myself, like, okay, I'm incredibly overwhelmed all the time. Like I'm doing things to make money so I can pay bills. I'm, have the podcast, I have editing, I have all my artwork. I want to do canvases, I want to do AR, I want to do physical, I want to do whatever. I'm constantly overwhelmed. So something needs to change. And I need to bring somebody in. Immediately my mind goes to that is responsibility of a human being that I am taking on. Do I have the work ethic for it, so that the days that maybe I don't want to do anything, will I like rise up to the occasion and say like, this is somebody that I am paying that is now relying on me. These are pieces of art that I need somebody else's help with. Am I willing to do my part on it? Am I willing to like accept that this is a business now, as opposed to me having fun making art? These are all the things where like I really struggle with making decisions on, because at the end of the day, like going back to what you said, Vic, really why I got into this and what I actually want to do for the rest of my life is create things that the world has never seen. So finding that medium has been incredibly difficult for me. And yeah, I think going forward, it'll be interesting seeing if I'm given the opportunity to take that leap too, because if I don't have the money to do it, I don't have the money to do it. So I'm curious to see if I'm going to be willing to make the changes that I need to make it into a business so I can continue moving forward, as opposed to just making art that I like,
I think another thing, and Dillon, maybe you can enlighten us on this, is like finding that person that you can trust to
Mhm.
do the type of work or achieve the type of quality that you expect in your own work.
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that? How do you, even if it's just painting base coat or whatever, if
Mhm.
it's sloppy, you know, you don't want to pay someone to do that. I feel like that was where I went wrong.
Mhm.
Back in the day, when I was still in Toronto, I actually hired like a younger artist to do the work, and I paid her pretty well actually. And she would get the sock liner dyed, or she would like paint the sock liner. I'm like, you know,
Yep.
like you sit there and you're like, I would never do that. But now I have to take the time to fix your mistake, because of course you're starting out. I've spent so much time learning how to do this the right way. And like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because you're basically paying for it twice. Now you've paid them, and now you almost have to pay yourself again to refix their mistakes.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah, I think that it's almost in a way like raising children. It's your job to mold them. So in my opinion, it's on you. You know what I mean? To like make sure that you're able to show them, teach them, and really understand it's not going to be right away. There's a very small chance of that, whether it's hiring a video editor or hiring another artist. It's not going to be right away, and it's going to be about really trying to mold them over time, and hopefully trying to recognize early on that there's potential. You know what I mean? I think that they might sort of, let's say you're hiring a photographer, a videographer, video editor. You know what? I think they kind of have an eye for it, and the more they do it, then they'll get a hang of it. You know what I mean? For example, early on, us with Jason, he had zero experience in video editing. He just enjoyed taking photos and just sort of learned video editing and stuff over time. And, I didn't know what I wanted from a video editor. We just sort of went at it together and stuff. And I think that I was very like hands-on trying to learn it too, and tried to be able to describe what I do and don't like, not just that wasn't good, go ahead and restart, you know what I mean? Or with hiring another artist, okay, you got paint on the sock liner on this one. Look, that's a massive headache. We need to make sure that that doesn't happen again. Like sort of when you're teaching children, hey, you can't say this or can't do this. And then if you do it again, there's going to be repercussions. Or how do we turn this into a learning lesson? You know what I mean?
Mhm. That's why you're like godfather of sneakers.
Stop.
You-
Stop.
building
Big Daddy
your
Dillon.
It's
army.
not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy having getting more people on with you. But I mean, if you're just trying to get to a certain level, if you could think to yourself, hey, I want to, like, just quite simply, this is business. At the end of the day, business is about money too. I want to make this amount of money. How am I going to get there? Mathematically, how will we get there? How are my hands going to get there? Because there's only 365 days in a year. So how many things can I possibly do if I'm only counting on painting shoes? Am I
Mhm.
going to get there by, increasing my value year over year to where now I can charge 25% more than the year prior? Or is it going to be a matter of quantity? Am I going to go from 100 pairs in a year to 200 pairs in a year? How am I going to do that with these two hands? Chances are you're going to need help. Or if it's not just about that one stream of revenue, just your commissions, what are my other streams of revenue going to be? Am I going to be able to get AdSense from YouTube or TikTok Creator Fund or Instagram bonuses? How am I going to get other money? Or something that you've done very well, Vic, brand deals. You know what I mean? Working with bigger companies that actually do have budgets. So I think a question that I'd like to ask you, Vic, is somebody who would like to has no idea where to start. As much as it'd be nice to say, well, just post good work and hopefully they'll find you over time. How can people actually get more brand deals or start to work with larger companies? What are some things that you would give, tips that you would give for younger artists?
I think for me, what got the ball rolling was creating. Yes, you post your best work, but it's creating content that you think put yourself into the shoes of a company. Am I seeing things where my brand could be? You want to work with Coca-Cola. Have you taken your picture such that a bottle of Coke could be put on that table and they can visualize their brand being represented by you? And I think that was the value of
That's really
learning.
good.
Yeah, like
It's really
learning
fucking
how
good.
to do photography in the first place, right? Like Dillon,
Yeah.
it's a huge learning curve. But when you take better pictures, when you set yourself up that way, you're setting yourself up for brand deals. You know, like I work with Microsoft. I use my computer all the time. This is not me selling out, but like having my computer on my desk all the time is a good way for them to be like, oh, well, she's going to rep our brand really well, you know?
Yeah.
And anytime you approach a brand, they're going to be like, well, send me examples of your work. Can they pitch that to their team? Because typically these companies don't work. It's not one person you're trying to please. They're looking at your portfolio and they're thinking, does this person look like they can create a campaign for us that is going to sell our product, not in like a blatant way, but kind of very subconsciously to consumers, you know? Do they rep our brand well? And it's things like that. So all of that time that I think I spent taking ridiculous photos, like doing photo shoots that were like messy and maybe amateur at the time, really led up to being able to land new things. Because then you also have the experience, okay, how much time does it take me to set up a photo shoot?
Yep.
Right? It's not just the sneakers itself. Like you need to put everything together. You need to either know how to work the camera or have a photographer with you. You need to be able to let's set up a shooting backdrop or land a venue, you know, and it's doing all these things that, like I said, it's a long-term game, right? Where just because you put in a lot of effort doesn't pay off right away, but eventually might lead into something else. So I feel like that's been the key to working with brands.
Yeah, it goes back to that earlier point of having that balance of, you know, you spend half a day doing a photo shoot and you don't even get a picture that you like, but you learn something that then next week you're able to capture the photo, and somehow a year down the line, that post garnered the attention of a brand or something like that. So I just think you do such a kick-ass job, Vic, of having really, really just extremely polished content that it's a no-brainer for a brand to want to work with you, but in the best way possible. It's still very raw, that you're still a real person. You feel like when you follow your page, you get to know more about this artist. You get to feel you're hanging out with them, and it's not just a faceless brand. And it's not raw in terms of it doesn't look like there was thought and effort put in anything. These weren't just pictures taken on your bed sheets or something like that, you know? So
you just gotta thank you so much, but like you just gotta have fun with it. And it's like most of the time, if I have somebody else behind the camera, I'm like cringing. I'm like, they're like, well, pose. I'm like, well, I'm not a model. I don't know how to pose. My legs are also like a foot long. So it's not, you know, I can do one of those like Instagram model poses for you. I can't really. So it's like really just embracing that whole like discomfort of doing it all. But then, you know, it's so fun to look back on. I think that's the best part, is like all the projects that you do together. And like even the one that I did with Sean, you know, just going out and taking pictures. Most of the time the photo shoots suck. They fail. Like I veto so many shots. Like I have thousands and thousands of photos. You will never have seen them online because they're not good enough. But the next time we do better.
You tried, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Content queen.
Yeah. Dude, that's honestly, I think this whole conversation is fascinating to me, because to me, there's like communication in so many different ways when you make a piece, right? It's like communication in the concept or whatever you're going for in the actual piece itself, right? Your shoes. So that communication can be, you're trying to communicate something to a brand, you're trying to communicate something to your audience, you're trying to communicate something about yourself. Like, you know, you can choose different levels of it, different levels of subtlety. And then the shoe is done, or the piece or whatever. And then you move on to content, right? And then it's like, okay, well, now what do you want to communicate? Do you want to communicate it to a brand? Do you want to communicate a story? Like, are you going to use the content as just an extension of the concept of your shoe and like continuing that story? Or it's like, do you want to communicate a trend and try like make your content specifically to grow? Right. And I think that that's just the most fascinating thing. And the whole thing is like very artistic to me in general, where it's like before I would have thought, of course, it's just for the story. Like the fact that you have a library of music, the fact that you can choose all of the videos that you put in and how you make them. It's like, why would you not use that as just an extension of the original concept that you made on your piece. Like it feels wasteful to do anything else. And then as time goes on, like, you know, talking to you about this, I would have never, ever thought about making content for a brand like that. Never. And I hope that the people listening to find value, like equally as much value as I think we all do in that, because that's amazing.
Yeah, that was huge. That was huge when you said, you know, could Coca-Cola see their brand on this photo? You know?
Huge.
Yeah, that's
Huge.
good.
Placement.
That's
'Cause
good.
I don't know if you guys know who Vince Staples is, a rapper from
Mhm.
Long Beach, but he talked about how he did the same thing in like 2018. He started making music for placements in movies, and his stuff popped off that year, and all the beats that he made and songs he made were placements in movies. So it works. It
It's like
works.
being intentional with what you create, right? If you, again, it's me, if I'm constantly doing copyright work, you better bet that the next 50 customers I have are going to be asking for that.
Yep.
Whereas if I do original work, yes, it's going to be painful at the beginning, but every customer is going to come back saying, I want that because you've done it and I've seen it, you know? It's, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we do talk about, because I told Zach the same thing. Like, I do original stuff, but you've been doing it pretty much from the beginning, so you're already ahead of the curve. You know, you have it figured out, because a lot of people don't think long term. You know, like you said, Vic, like original work is long term. You know, doing other people's stuff is more short term, because there's a ceiling to it. When you're doing original work, I feel like, I can't say all the time, but mostly people pay more for original work because it's authentically yours. And so yeah, Zach's ahead of the curve. I tell him all the time. It's more difficult because he's doing it on a shoe. So there's already that side of it. As customizers, we're kind of already behind the 8 ball, I guess. And then you're doing original work on shoes, so probably makes it a little bit more difficult. But as I was telling him all the time, just stay focused. And if you want to do original work, man, try it. Anybody out there, it's worth it. It's difficult. It's not easy. It may take some time and getting some traction and getting people into it, but it's definitely worth it.
It's so freaking hard, Sean. I'm like all over the place. I have one of my friends here is named John. Sorry, Sean.
Right.
It's so hard to do original work, and I feel like that's what Zach was saying. Like, you do it so well. You're a natural storyteller, and you can put the vision that's in your head onto a physical object, which is insane. Like, imagine for example, what the Bored Apes are able to achieve. You can buy it, and then you can license that out for people to use. Whereas if you're using copyrighted things, you can't. You don't have the rights to that work.
Yeah.
You know, you can't sell it, you can't make money off, you can't profit off of it further. Whereas if it's your original work, you can get more brand collabs, right? You can make a comic book out of it, you make a movie out of it, you know, somebody can pick it up and you can get paid out for just royalties, and it itself is a lot. So, you know, but it's so freaking hard. I'm like, I was never an artist, like I never classically trained as an artist, and heck, like coming up with your own thing, biggest challenge that I've had. It's crazy.
So you know what's fascinating to me about this is, like, this is what I love. I love the community. I love doing stuff like this because I obviously, like, you know, as I'm sure you could guess, is like the exact opposite for me, where I can to me doing original work is just having a general understanding of yourself and figuring out an interesting way to communicate it. You know, it's not going out and finding some fucking magical like combination of style and concept that will blow the art world like down to its knees. You know, it's nothing. It's literally just like, you know, you're walking by a house and you see the colors of the house, and something in your little brain is like, hey, that's pretty cool. And then you're like, okay, well, what exactly is cool about it? Like, is it the colors? Is it the textures? Is it the combination of both? Like, and you just start picking little things like that throughout your day, and you find other artists and you just mash them together and you just try it. Your body will tell you and your mind will tell you what you do and don't like. And the fascinating thing about original work to me, and, you know, the ultimate end goal, and I don't even know how many people I've told this. I don't even know if I told you guys this, but to me, the only way to measure success in art is influence. I think that's really the only realistic like measurement you can give, because you can ask any artist and, you know, like, are you successful? And they'll say yes or no, not based off of money, but based off of, you know, their ability to influence and the success they found with that. So whenever I was thinking of new ideas, because I realized the same thing that all y'all did, and it was like, I can't just keep painting shoes. Sometimes I'll sell a pair for $1,200 and that month feels amazing. Sometimes I won't sell a pair for 4 months and I'm just watching my bank account plummet. So I was like, I need to figure something else out. So to me, AR shoes were the perfect combination of everything. It was, how can I spread, you know, and provide ubiquity through just artwork that I create, and how can I build what could potentially be a revenue stream in the future. And that's the ultimate goal for that. And that's why I like bringing it up, because honestly, there's not many things that I am like truly proud of myself for, except for that. And that's because that was the first time where I kind of accepted that I couldn't just make things. I had to figure out like how I was going to build a future for myself and my family. And so I'm excited to go that route of things. But it's interesting because you guys provide so much amazing insight as far as like business and content goes, that I just soak up as much as I can. And whenever anybody needs any help with original work, I'm like, man, I'll talk for hours. Just please come, you know.
I love
So
that.
heartfelt. So heartfelt. Good stuff. Good stuff.
It'll happen, man. I keep saying it, it's just a matter of time. Like, you see people
Yep.
sell canvas artwork. Saw the other day somebody sold something for like $90,000.
Yep.
So
Love it. Love it. Sean, Zach, you guys
it'll
got
happen,
any
man. It's
you guys
just
got any rapid
matter of
fire
when.
ones for Vic as we wrap up here?
I need to know, Vic, what's going on with the NFTs?
It's going. It's like something that I was like a little hesitant to start. Of course, I feel like we all were. And you know, you start getting approached by people and they're like, oh, let's like make an NFT with us. We'll take over. We'll do everything for you. Like, let's do this. And it's really about curating who aligns with you the most in order for you to jump into the project. But I'm part of like 2 NFT projects at the moment. And, you know, there's that huge, let's say the balloon finally popped and everybody freaked out. But I still believe in the NFT space. I feel like that's our future. And with any kind of technological advancement, there's this resistance to it because we don't like change. But that's, I think, very much where the world is heading towards. And so NFT is just like naturally the thing to try. And right now is such a good time to do it because the risk is really low at the moment. You know, there's nothing that not really that much you can lose. And especially in the projects that I've signed up for, you know, the people are amazing and they've taken good care of me in a way that it's like, you provide the artwork, we'll do the rest, you know, and we'll build up this community where we can share your artwork with people, but then also, you know, benefit as a community. So, I mean, it's been great. The whole like AR stuff, that's like,
You can do it.
But I think like it's just that mental like obstacle that you give for yourself. If you try it, you can learn. I believe that people can learn anything. It's just a matter of whether you want to put the time into it or not. And that's our future, you guys. Like, and it's a good way to kind of solve that issue of demand and supply and demand. We can only do so much, and NFT is a great way for us to share our artwork, be able to sell more, be able to create more. And I'm just curious to see where it ends up, really.
It's awesome. Vic, I got a fun one to end with here. All right, stick with me.
Okay.
So the aliens just attacked the Earth. There's 5 of them. There's going to be an art battle. It's you and 4 other sneaker customizers. You have no idea what the challenge is going to be, but you have to pick your starting 5 to save the earth, and it can't be any of us 3 in case you were going to throw us in
I
there.
was like, that's easy. You're only
But-
asking for one.
But
Here.
who's the starting 5 to save the earth?
Trying to break the internet.
Ooh. Man, this is so hard. This is why, you know, those chains that go around, it's like tag your favorite artist. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. No,
Yeah.
no, you're gonna get me.
Keep you out of
Spill
here.
the beans. Oh man, this is such a tough one. I feel like it's gotta be my girl Anne. She's incredible.
Boom.
And such
And
a
aliens are in trouble.
yeah, the aliens are gonna be in
Facts.
trouble. Start off with two women, badass women. Oh man, this is so hard. I really Sneaker battle. Actually, I have a third girl, Malika, my girl Malika.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Love
Ooh.
her.
Mel gonna fuck him up.
Should have
Yeah.
went to a different planet, aliens.
Messed with the wrong group of people. And then a person that I've always liked from the beginning is O'Worthen. O'Worthen's like one of my
Ooh.
favorites.
Wow.
Ooh.
Freaking love
Ooh.
his art style, and
Ooh.
you can see that from like space.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can recognize his work.
Yeah.
And then
Last one. Fate of the planet.
damn, give me somebody. I need somebody that can do everything.
Uh-huh.
Gosh. I'm gonna forget certain people and I'm gonna be like, what the heck? Oh, I know. We need to make sneaker boxes. So moon dust is in the mix.
Oh,
Ooh, that's
damn.
good. That's
Little
good.
What a
Game
wild
changer
card.
there and like have a little bit of everything. So
Yeah.
cover all bases.
That's a starting 5 right there, if I've ever heard one.
That's phenomenal.
There are so many more, but you guys put me on the spot. So like, I forget anyone.
It's good. The
I was
good
like-
raw
I was like,
answers.
Zack,
Yep.
Dillon, Sean.
And
Done. And done.
Well, dude, this has been absolutely amazing, Vic. Thank you so much for coming on. I want to give you the opportunity before we actually close out. You know, I mentioned Best Foot Forward, which is Anne and Vic's podcast, which will be linked down below 100%. But is there anything else that you'd like to talk about that you have coming up, or Anne for that matter?
Let's see. Definitely follow my YouTube channel because that's a little bit weak. I need to work on that. Or subscribe. And then really just like, you know, check us all. I feel like it's just spreading the love, you know, and going into everybody's page and liking their stuff and keep following and checking it out. I don't know how long this like sneaker craze is gonna be going on for, but I hope it's honestly for years and years and years. And yeah, check me out on Instagram, YouTube. Working on a secret collection, so hopefully that'll come out soon.
Beautiful, beautiful. And then I'm gonna go ahead and say it for Sean. Sean has a Patreon that he started posting to again.
Hey.
Sean also has a phenomenal YouTube, and Dylan is much better at plugging his shit. So Dylan, is there anything that you have coming up?
Oh man. Just check me out on YouTube and Instagram.
Awesome, guys. Well, I thank you so much.
Can I ask one thing? I've
Yeah.
been this question a lot. Are you all on TikTok?
Yep.
Because Dylan just mentioned YouTube and Instagram.
Yeah. I should have
Everybody's been
said.
asking me TikTok.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we said this last episode, a positive to TikTok and Instagram, just the push for vertical video is YouTube is about to start monetizing YouTube Shorts.
Mm.
Instagram has just monetized them over the last 2-3 months. So, I mean, there's now 3 platforms, YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, and TikTok, that will all pay you to post vertical video.
Fire.
So, and obviously, you know, you make it for one, it stretches across to all 3, and you never know if it's just going to hit on one of them. So
So this video should be recorded like this.
exactly.
That'll be the ending videos. We're all gonna go like this and
Yeah.
just go, thanks for showing up, guys. It's really fun talking to you today.
There we go.
Awesome. Well, as far as Inspiriment goes, thank you guys all for listening and watching if this is on YouTube. We're going to be doing this every Monday, posting these at 8 a.m. So it's nice and consistent for everybody. And if you want to see more Inspiriment, absolutely go follow us on TikTok and Instagram. And I appreciate you guys showing up. I hope you got a lot of value to this. So once again, thank you very much to Vic, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, big
See you
homie
guys.
Vic.
Bye,
Peace,
bye.
everybody.